Oh, this is the other side of the hole in the ground. There's a cave system underneath here. I wonder if I should do something about this. Probably not. Alright, just gonna pave over it. And then we slope up a little bit up ahead. Is it? Oh, okay. Let me just put that dirt back. And then we slope upwards from there. And there. Wait a minute. Wait, what? 1, 2, 1, 2. Wait, what? Oh. Hey, I'm confusing myself. Okay, that is correct. And then one more. Alright, and straightforward. How is everybody? I mean, there's nothing interesting going on except punching dirt. For me. That and up, and then up again. Why is there a hole? Stone slabs. Where's this says good? How are you? I mean, I'm pretty good as usual. It's super hot here though. It's getting into summertime in the southern hemisphere. Actually, what day is it today? Like the 11th? We're supposed to have a guy install window tinting in this room so it doesn't get as hot when the sun shines in the windows. They said they would... It's ice cold. Well... We don't have air conditioning in my house. So the thing is, if it's cold, we have heaters. But if it's hot, I don't have an air conditioner. I guess I could get an air conditioner. You can see the sun's pretty bright in the room behind me. And that's like with the blinds closed. Actually, it's kind of amazing. Because the blinds are all closed and it's that bright behind me. Summers luckily don't get too hot where you are, says Wesley. Well, you know, that's changing because of global warming. Slowly changing. Although it's not as slow as you might think. I mean, people talk about like average temperatures. But even a small increase in average temperatures might mean that the hot days goes from like maybe like a couple of days per year to like a couple of weeks per year. Because the distribution is like that, and so I don't know. I'm trying to draw a graph with my fingers on video. But the statistics of climate change, like, it's not really intuitive sometimes what it means. Like if you have, you know, like one heat wave a year and it lasts maybe like 2 days. I mean, people might not be bothered by it that much. Oh, it's a 2 hot days a year, that's not too bad. But when it extends to like 2 weeks of really hot days, then people really start to suffer. Because it just doesn't cool down again. And like, you know, the maximum temperature might not actually be very much hotter. It's only like half a degree hotter, the maximum. But then the high temperatures, the duration of the high temperatures is noticeably longer. Or like, you know, the rainfall. You know, sometimes people think, well, you know, if there's like, you know, 5% more rain, it can't be that bad. I mean, if it's like just take the current rain, add 5%, you know, what's the worst that could possibly happen? Well, you know, if your drainage system gets overwhelmed, then it goes from not flooded to flooded. I mean, some things, like there are threshold problems with things like that. I mean, maybe like the capacity of your drainage system is this much. Right now it's there, and it goes 5% more, and all of a sudden it floods, and then you're screwed. I'm trying to remember. I mean, I've lived in this house for over 20 years. 80? Yeah, no, it's 25 years? Or is it over 20? I've lived in this house for a lot of years. And it's, I think it's been noticeable that it's gradually become too hot. Like it didn't, I mean it used to be hot, it didn't used to be too hot in this room. Oh, I didn't need to put that back in. I wonder when we're gonna get our act together and fix climate change as a species. Wesley says I did notice some differences too over my lifespan. Yeah, I mean it's slow, it's gradual, but not so gradual that you don't notice. You do notice some things. I mean it's slow, it's not that slow. Like it is happening. Although I think Europe is doing a fairly good job at not being polluters when it comes to climate change. China is cleaning up, but they're starting with a very, very dirty history. I mean, they're cleaning up really fast, but they have a lot of cleaning up to do. Oh, I don't know if you guys heard, but China says they're gonna ban fossil fuel cars. So they're just gonna completely phase out petrol and diesel trucks and cars and going all electric. I mean, that's the kind of stuff China does, right? They just say, oh, we're gonna do all of this now, and they just do it. It's kind of weird, really. I mean, sometimes they do nothing, and then sometimes they just say, oh, we're gonna change everything. But I guess it's good that they're gonna phase out petrol vehicles. Wesley says that's extreme. I mean, yes it is, and you know China tends to do things that way, kind of like extreme. But if you think about it, if you say maybe over the next 20 years we're gonna all be driving electric cars, it's not too crazy. Tetris Chemist says a few pals of mine were talking about this the other day, and apparently the country of Bhutan has achieved carbon negative status. Good, good. I mean, if you start off from a relatively, you know, low starting point, it's not that difficult to achieve carbon negative. Actually, I need this to be lowered down, don't I? I mean, it takes... People just need to do it. Like, it's not that hard. Just need to have the political will to get it done. Also, I need this to be one block further out. Where am I putting this? There, and there, and there. I didn't mean to do that. I should probably just do it properly. Alright, let's come down here. Let's fill all that in. Bhutan is carbon negative. I feel like some European countries can do it too. Isn't Iceland? Shouldn't Iceland be pretty close? Wesley says a lot of big countries keep buying clean air to make themselves look better, but it doesn't really help. Yeah, buying carbon credits. I mean, in theory, if the money goes towards reducing emissions in other countries, I mean, in theory, it should work. But eventually, everybody has to just decarbonize, right? Everybody just has to stop using fossil fuels. I do wonder about those companies that continue to drill for oil, like they continue to try to find new sources of fossil fuels. Like what on earth are they thinking? I mean, do they really expect the world economy to keep buying that stuff? Am I lagging? No. I mean, on the one hand, I understand that it's gonna become more and more valuable as they start to run out because of scarcity. On the other hand, people are gonna switch to other fuels and other sources of energy, so... I don't know, man. I do know that Australia, a few years ago now, they built a huge coal port because Australia digs up a lot of coal to sell to China. So they had a huge, invested in a huge port to move the coal onto ships to ship to China. And then China announced that they were going to cut their carbon emissions and they stopped building coal-fired power plants. And now the Australian mining industry is just tanking, it's just completely collapsing. And coal prices collapsed, and so then they spent all that money for nothing. And you know, those of us who are aware of environmental issues, at the time, like, looked at Australia building this giant coal port and we're like, why would you do that? We're not going to be using fossil fuels in the future. And the miners and the Australian government is like, oh, it's going to make so much money. Am I right? It's going to make so much money for Australia. And then China just, oh nah, we're not buying coal anymore. And yeah, there you go. Really though, what did they think was gonna happen? I don't know. I feel like some people can only see what is currently profitable, and they can't really see, you know, what will happen in the future. I think I've talked about this thing before, about like some people live in the future, in the sense that like their ideas and their behavior is based on things that other people don't understand yet. Like people like Elon Musk. Elon Musk says, "Oh, I'm gonna go to Mars," and everyone's like, "What? What? Why are you going to Mars?" So Elon Musk is like, you know, maybe like 20 years in the future. And then 20 years from now, we'll be on Mars. And Elon will be there. And the rest of us are like, okay, can you take us to Mars, Elon? And Elon's like, I'm already here, bro. So like he's thinking of things that are 28 years ahead of us. Some people are just like that. They just, you know, their ideas are just in the future. Whereas other people are in the past. Some people are 20 years behind and they don't want to catch up because it's too much work. Elon is also building electric cars, right? And so like, you know, when Elon first started Tesla and started building electric cars, everyone is like, that's not gonna work, like nobody wants electric cars. What are you doing? And then now that Tesla is going, China says, okay, like, we're gonna switch to electric cars. So again, like Elon Musk is again like 10 or 20 years in the future. And when he does things, everyone is like, nah, this guy's crazy. Except that 20 years later, China says, alright, electric cars. Wesley says, sadly enough, the people that live in the past actually rule countries. Yeah, unfortunately, yes. And partly it's because it takes so long to rise through the ranks of any hierarchy. And so to become a leader, like you have to be in the organization for like decades before you become the leader. And so then your ideas are old ideas because you're an old person, because you've been there for so long. And that's the only reason you become a leader. So it's an issue with leadership. And I don't know if there's a good answer for it. Like the time it takes to accumulate political influence. Sofa says, well, to lead a country, you generally want to keep the status quo and keep a stable society for your people. Yes and no, Sofa. I mean, sure, like social stability is, you know, you don't want to like have giant upheavals all the time. But sometimes, you know, when technology changes or with things like climate change, if you don't change fast enough, your country can fall apart too. Like, you know, if 20 years from now you're still building coal mines, your economy is screwed, Sofa, right? Because nobody's gonna be using coal anymore. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, I mean, stability, social stability is important, yes, but then you also have to keep up with technology. That's also important. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I mean, like, if other people are building rockets and building electric cars and solar panels, and you're still, I don't know, building diesel trucks. Sure, but we're discussing leading the way in terms of tech not keeping up, says Sofa. I mean, Anyway, I mean, there's always gonna be those people who push ahead, and then those people who catch up later. You can't just change your stance mid-argument. Did I? Did I change my stance mid-argument? I mean, Elon Musk is probably not gonna convince anyone to make him president of anything, except for his own companies. I mean, as I said, like, people expected Elon Musk to fail because they didn't really understand what he was thinking about. And then by the time that people understand what he's thinking about, he's already doing the next thing. He does have a bizarre lack of speaking. Yeah, no, he does. He's not a big speaker, but I tell you what, he is a pretty decent engineer, and he does have vision. I mean, he's just not a big speaker. Speaking takes practice too. I mean, you can't deny that he makes stuff happen though, right? He made PayPal, and he's doing SpaceX and Tesla. He makes stuff happen. I mean, he can't speak about it. He can't talk about it, but he can do it. I thought Theo was PayPal. Didn't Theo buy PayPal? Ciaran, hi. Welcome to the stream.